Arsenal's way? And is it themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's easy to go to injuries, but I suppose that, to some degree, I think it's been positive that they're a small squad because when you're healthy and when everybody's playing at their best, right, you want to continue that momentum. You don't want to change things. We've seen with other big teams, that have big squads where you kind of almost forced to have rotation. Apart from injuries, you feel as a manager that you have so many big players. I'm talking Manchester City and, when Liverpool's at their best and everybody else, you kind of feel that pressure to rotate and allow others to come in, which sometimes can get in the way of the flow and the momentum that you have. So I think Arsenal are benefiting from that, and the fact, of course, that they are very, very healthy. So I would say they are thin. We can talk about later maybe about Modric changing his mind, because that's important only from the standpoint that we saw today, again, for maybe second game in a row, maybe Martinelli wasn't at his absolute best. And it would have been nice to have somebody like him or João Felix coming in, who also didn't go to Arsenal as well. So we'll see what happens for the rest of the window, but I think they can use another player or two just to make sure that they see it through and bring it home.
Yeah, I completely agree with Yanis. The worry will be, how this squad can stay healthy. And let's not forget, when Europe comes back and obviously they're still in the FA Cup and, all these competitions, they're going to really be tested during the week, not just on the weekend. So, all right, listen, Dalen, I have to come back to you regarding, because you did mention, of course, the betting perspective. Listen, I said way back in October, I know, that many were questioning, but Arsenal are going to win this thing. I've seen enough.
Second pat on the back for yourself there, Luis.
Yeah.
Second or third time you're doing that. I like it. You keep saying it. You keep saying it. Okay.
That's the second time today.
You know why? just like growing up with my family, like nobody else gives me praise. I got to do it for myself. Yeah. But listen, what would you go right now? Would you suggest, to put a wager here and just say Arsenal are going to win this? How confident are you of that?
Well, I said from a value standpoint, I suggested that coming out of the World Cup because there was still value. That's when I said cautiously optimistic, so I put my money where my mouth was at that point in time. They were plus 250 then. Preseason, they were plus 550. So they're 2.5 times your money about a month ago. Today, they were down to minus 120, which is very much like pennies on the dollar to your dollar. And as Mark just mentioned, as soon as that game went final, City was the betting favorite at minus 110, and that now is flipped. So Arsenal now is the favorite. City has dropped off. So if I were you right now, I would not bet the wager right now because you're not getting the value. If they drop points in the next 2 weeks, you'll probably see a flip again. You're probably going to make a couple more, cents on the dollar, maybe even a little bit more than that. If this thing gets really tight, you might want to wait and see because now the value is not quite there. It was there last month and it was there when you did it in LME back in October. It was definitely there.
Thank you, Dalen.
I would hold on. I would say getting through the window is important too because if they do supplement, that can change the odds as well as for other teams. And the one thing that does concern me, I've always said, cautious optimistic over and over again, but City's obviously done this before. And the experience part does concern me. When this thing gets tight, because this team really, last year they faced adversity, this has been a pretty magical run. They haven't lost in months. They haven't really faced true adversity yet. And if that happens, I wonder how they respond with a young crew. I hope their ignorance is bliss in some regard. They don't understand the magnitude of the moment. There's all these young guys playing with no fear. I hope that continues. But we'll see. So if I'm putting my money right now, I'm holding off on the wager there. I'm definitely not betting City. I wouldn't bet United. United's plus 1,200. I know they're in the mix. I don't think they're winning this thing, and that is a massive long shot. Newcastle's odds are even longer than that. I do think it really will end up being a two-horse race as far as betting your money, and you're going to have to wait and see here just in terms of the value, because I do think the bettors are going to want the bookies are going to put this back to Man City at some point in time. If this thing gets to 5 points or 4 points, the numbers are going to flip, and then if you believe in Arsenal, there is your value, and now get a little more money on it.
All right, so that's all the money on it. But your gut, what money would you be putting on them right now then?
My money? I already put my money on it when they were plus 250. Are you asking for a dollar figure? What are you asking for, Kevin?
Right now, we've got money from you, and you have to decide now what to do with it. And so you're saying we have to wait.
That's all about waiting for value. Like I said, I believe her. I think they can do this thing. And I already hold a ticket, so I do believe it. My money is where my mouth is. It's just about the dollars and cents of it. Because I do think if you wait a couple weeks, when this thing tightens, I do think it's going to tighten, you'll just get more value. And if you believe in Arsenal right now, and you still believe in 3 weeks, you might just make a little more money if you place that bet in 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks versus today, because today is when it did flip. You would have got more money 3 hours ago than you're going to get right now.
Yeah. So let me ask one more question, because we did mention, Dalen, will it obviously they're going to meet in the FA Cup, and that's coming up next. This Man City and Arsenal. Is that going to affect things when it comes to the Premier League odds?
I don't think so. Unless somebody takes an injury in that, unless somebody gets hurt and they can't supplement in the window, that'll change it. And the actual points within the Premier League table changes it. The FA Cup result, I don't think will really affect anything. To that point, though, on February 15th when they meet, if it is 8 points still and City smashes them, the numbers will change drastically. So that's another point where you can see some big movement. But it's really going to be the results in the table and any injuries that happen that are really going to move the dollars.
All right. Should we let Dalen go and goad his brother?
Let him gloat. Let him fight.
Gotta go gloat. All right, celebrity celebration cocktail. I'm going to throw my daughter around a little bit. She was going nuts. It was great. What a day.
Be careful with that one, all right? Dalen, thanks so much for joining us. It's been great to have you.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.